Hey guys, this is Austin with GGOffroad. I'm here today to explain our new Tacoma tailgate camera relocation cables. So what we offer is two different variants, and the variants only depend on whether or not you're going to keep your tailgate installed on your truck. So what's the difference between the kits? Both kits come with the main cable. This is a 10-foot cable. If you are removing your tailgate for a slide-in camper, this tailgate, you can see this is the connector for your tailgate under the truck. That kit needs this adapter. What this adapter does is it plugs into our standard cable. And then as you can see, this connector is identical to the one on your truck. So this completely replaces your tailgate connector. So that's the most straightforward install. If you've removed your tailgate, you just simply plug this in, you plug this in, and then you plug this into your camera and you're done. Now, if you want to maintain your tailgate and you want to maintain the lock functionality and this backup light and the auto up down, whatever the Tacoma has in it, unfortunately the install is a little bit more complicated, but I'm about to run through that all here right now. When you've removed your tailgate like this, install is super easy. You'll take out the camera. I have footage of that. You will simply plug your camera module into this connector here. Then this connector carries your camera signals and it will go under the truck. And then you will need this adapter. Now this adapter basically allows you to replace the functionality of your tailgate and plug this straight in. So what this does is it grabs the two CAN bus wires from the camera, and that gives you your backup lines, those reversing yellow lines that tell you where you're going. And it also eliminates a couple error messages on your dash. So it's as simple as plugging these two in and then plugging this on your truck exactly where you took off the old tailgate connector. So that's the install when you remove the tailgate. The tailgate delete is a much easier install. Now, assuming you leave your tailgate on, right? You have a lot of functionality in this OEM harness. You have the lights, you have the locking mechanism, you have some of the auto up down, etc. So now that install, you do not need this adapter. This adapter replaces the tailgate. So what you'll need for that kit is just this cable. And then we're actually going to splice in these two red and black wires. These are the CAN bus wires from the camera. It's actually these two pins up top. We're going to be splicing that in to this tailgate harness so that you can maintain full functionality of your tailgate and remove all of those error messages and get your backup lines back. I'll show you how to do that. So you're here. You should be here if you intend to keep your tailgate on the truck. I know this tailgate's off the truck, but in your situation, you will be likely doing this underneath the truck. What you're gonna do is unlatch this to take the tailgate off the truck. You press down on this, pull this latch back, and then this should just pull straight out of the mod where it's plugged in. So what we're gonna be doing is we're going to be splicing this red and black wire from this connector into the CAN bus wires of this harness. That way you can maintain all of the functionality of your tailgate. To do that, what we're going to need is just some side cutters, wire strippers. These are heat shrink tubing that have a low temperature solder in them. You can also use like a butt splice connector. You could add a little connector if you have the crimp tools for that. Whatever you do, just make sure it's waterproof because this is under the truck. In my case, I'm just using these, which I just need a lighter, and then this is just some automotive tape, some Tesla tape, which is the same stuff that's on the harness already from Toyota. So, okay, you've unplugged this, right? Again, reminder how to unplug this. You press in on this latch, you pull this off, pull that back. Now you have your harness here. You have the GGOffroad harness. What we're gonna do is we're going to completely cut this oval connector off. Now this only plugs in on a Tundra or into our adapter for when you remove the entire tailgate. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna splice that in. I'll unravel that in a second. Now you're under the truck. We need to get access to 2 wires in here. So I'm just gonna unloom this a little bit and show you guys that process. Cut that zip tie. Try and find the end of this piece of tape. So we've got this all unloomed, all untaped. We've pushed this up as far as we can. You've located the white wire and red wire that are twisted together. It's important that these are the 2 you get because there's other whites in here, so don't use that. Now you have the GGOffroad cable. You've cut the oval connector off that had just these 2 black and red wires. And now we're just going to connect them. We've got the Toyota white and red cut. Now remember to do it to the side that's towards this connector, toward the truck. The side that goes toward the tailgate, I'm gonna actually throw some adhesive lined heat shrink on that and just cap it, because if you ever want to revert this, you'll just have to connect those 2 wires back up and crimp those back together. So this just makes sure that no water gets in the meantime. All right, I'll shrink those down in a second. So let's go ahead and do the white first. Let's just strip off about 1/4 inch. Twist it a little bit. So the white on Toyota goes to the red on the GGOffroad kit. I know, I'm sorry. All right, and then we're gonna maintain this factory twist. Also maintain the twisting on the GG kit. It's important for signal integrity, guys. Okay, so let's just use this solderless heat shrink. I mean, it is adhesive lined and it has a low temperature solder. So what we're gonna do is just slip that on, slip the 2 touching. Ideally, you would twist these together. It's kind of hard to keep the pairs twisted and twist them together, but since this has solder in it, I'm not too worried. Now we're going to keep this flame moving. I'm actually going to adjust this a little bit. Carefully untwist this and I'll retwist it for the red one. But I just want that out of the way. Okay, now make sure that these 2 wires do in fact overlap and touch on the stripped side. And if you've never used this stuff before, I would recommend using a hot air gun instead of a lighter. It's more foolproof. A lot easier to accidentally melt other wires and all this other braid, etc. But you can see that that solder reflowed right there. It's now liquid. So we're going to hold that together until it cools. And I'm actually going to shrink down this a little bit more once this is cold. There we go. See how that makes a nice watertight seal now? Okay, so that is one of them done. Now we're going to do Toyota red to GG black, and then we'll tape it all back up. So I'm going to try and keep this twisting intact. Obviously you can't really do that on a splice very easily, so just do your best. You can do an extra twist in here and then sort of like straighten out that twist later once you're done, but honestly this is going to be good enough just like that. So let's just strip those real quick. I'm going to tape this back just so I don't have to keep holding this with my hand. strip about 1/4 inch. Could go a little bit more if you wanted to. This is all you need. Okay, and I'll try and get a good shot of how these are. Basically, you want them overlapped like that, but you want the solder right in the middle of them. See how they're overlapping? Then you're going to put the solder right in the middle. And I like to get it set to where I want it. And then these red things shrink down soonest, and then the solder melts. So that tries to keep the solder contained in there. We're going to use a lighter again. Make sure that the wires are still where you want them. Keep the flame moving always. It's a lot easier to accidentally light this stuff on fire than you think. Now that didn't reflow yet. See how there's no liquid there? I don't want to get it too hot. There we go. But you want it to flow. You want that to get all liquid. Now that's a soldered connection and we're watertight. This needs to be a little bit shrunk down a little bit more. Just on the very ends. Just like that. There we go. And this guy. Just like that. We're also going to just cap these on the other side, the side towards the tailgate, with some adhesive lined heat shrink. That way it just keeps water out, makes it so that the next guy doesn't, if you ever want to connect your camera again, you will need to undo this, which would mean, you know, connecting this red and white to this red and white again. And you just want to keep the water out just in case you want to do that. I very much recommend a hot air gun. This is not the best method to do with a lighter, especially when you're underneath your truck. Definitely make sure that there's nothing flammable around when you're doing this, if you're doing it with a lighter or a hot air gun. Okay, so that is capped. We have our GGOffroad black connected to the Toyota red, and then the GGOffroad red connected to the Toyota white. We have retwisted as much as we can, and now we're going to relume it. This is automotive tape. It's the same stuff that we just peeled off earlier. I'm going to pull this shroud back down where it was. It's about there. Okay, and then I'm going to start the GG kit about a little bit into this heat shrink here. So now we'll just wrap this up, make it look good, keep it waterproof. This section I'm going to push back a tiny bit. There's a lot of room in that cavity to maintain. You're not bending these wires. You don't want to bend the joint. So okay, and then the way they had it originally, these camera signals, they taped behind it. So we'll do a couple tight wraps behind it, and then they taped this little section of the connector, and that's how they got it nice and tight on there. Actually, they pulled this to the side before they did that. And I'm just going to go back over it. Nice and tight this time.
Okay. And that's essentially the process. So now all you have to do is plug this back into your truck, clamp it back. This is a lever lock system is what they call it. So you just lock it back on. That's locked. So don't try and pull it off with that locked. But when you reinstall, make sure this is back, put it in, then lock it in place. This is going to be unused because this goes to the now unused connector that's in the tailgate. The GGOffroad kit exactly replaces this. So where this was plugged in, you're going to now plug in my connector. And you're done. This goes to the camera that you took out. That's it.
Cool, so now we have this all hooked up. Obviously your tailgate will most likely be still installed while you have this on, but this will now allow you to move your camera in front of that big tire carrier that you put on your truck, or move your camera wherever else you want to move it to. You know, if you want to do this, but you want to do a tailgate delete and not use your tailgate, you'll select the other kit, which just comes with our GGOffroad cable, and then this adapter, which replaces having to do all of the soldering. So the easier kit to install is actually the one where you remove the tailgate entirely for like sliding campers, complete new bed systems, etc. And that's it. Hope that was helpful. Thanks, guys.